Most pastors are politicians. I call them spiritual politicians. The list is the same. They are concerned about staying a pastor more than they are about making you the future pastor. They protect the pulpit from you. They actually lie on God by saying things like, don't touch God's anointed. Wonder what they mean by that. It's a ploy to threaten you. Don't touch me, even if I'm wrong. Always remember that King Saul was fired before he left the company. That's a deep statement.
It is your reaction to your limitation that facilitates your acceleration to your destination. Patience with oppression strengthens the oppressor. You are actually strengthening the oppressor with your patience with oppression. I refuse, I reject it. It takes a fight to experience a flight. If the aircraft must fly, it must overcome the drag of the wind that is pushing it back. It must overcome the weight of the aircraft and the gravity that is pushing it down. So there are two forces that pushes that forbids aircraft flight. The gravity that says if you throw man go up, it must return down. And then there is a drag that says if you are moving against the wind, it must push you back. The aircraft fights with two forces. It fights with the thrust that overcomes the drag and fights with the lift that overcomes the gravity. Then flight is sustained. You want to take flight, you must be ready to fight. You fight the devils of your father's house. You fight ancestral curses. You fight generational limitation. You even fight forces inside your own life, your own self. That is because some people, the worst enemy they have is themselves. That is, they are against their own life. They sleep too much, they eat too much, they lie too much, they cheat too much. There is something wrong inside them. I was talking with one man the other day. I knew him 20-something years ago as a crack architect and very, very good. I saw him, I saw the sister the other day and I said, where's your brother? He called the man for me. Where have you been? Long story made short, he's down to zero. He's looking for money. I gave him the book 21 Keys to Financial Overflow. Go and read it and come back and let me pray for you. Let's deal with the devil that is resisting you from anywhere. When he came back for the prayer, he said, sir, when I read the book, I realized it was not the devil. I am my own devil. He said, I made billions. I invested in nothing. I bought a house here. I bought this one here. I bought this one there. I did this one here. Just like as if under pressure. Everything vanished. Now I'm looking for money. So all he's looking for is for God to give him another chance so he can implement what he has learned. He said he could have at least established a stream of income that will cause money to be flowing continuously while the bigger works are being waited upon here or there. You react against your position to step into your possession. One man graduated with MSc architecture. He couldn't get a job, so he carried his master's in architecture certificate, put it somewhere. He went to construction and started carrying block. Started doing physical laborer's job. How many of you know how normal laborers behave? Boss? They are moving scattered, almost insulting each other. This guy was moving different from the others. The way he carried his block was different. He was so gentle. The head of the site said, the owner of the place said, who are you? You say, I'm an architect. What? Architect? At what level? Master's degree. What? And you came to do laborer's job? You say, instead of sitting at home. Say, really? Today you are the site supervisor. Somebody say reaction. That man today is a billionaire. Today, that I know. That has hospitality industry, hotels, high rises. That was how he reacted. You react with prayer. You react with action. If the sheep you are waiting for does not come to shore on time, swim and meet it. You have to react. Devil, between me and you, I'm the one to tire you. I'm the one to weary you. Between me and you, I'm the one to stop you. You can't stop me. I am the one to stop you. I have the anointing of Jehovah. He said to me, behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over every power of the enemy, and nothing shall by enemies hurt you. I am the one to stop you. You prayed, you fasted, anointed your compound, anointed your father's house. Anything that needs to be done is done.
if there's one thing I have realized, not just in Pentecostal churches, but the whole religion as a whole, like even Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism or whatever you want to call it, right? All these people and religion as a whole is being used as a tool to control people. Religion as a whole has been hijacked by a few people to control the masses. This has always been my take. And the way I look at religion nowadays is like people use it to elevate themselves. You will go to church, right? And you meet a man of God. And what he will say is, we must respect our leaders because, according to the Bible, leaders are put in place by God. If God does not allow them to be leaders, they won't be leaders. And so we must respect them. And then our politicians will come out to tell us that we must revere men of God because they are God's representation on earth. If we do not want the Lord to strike us dead, then we must revere men of God. We can never, or we should never, criticize men of God. You see, there is this linkage between politicians and men of God. They all validate each other. The same thing in Islam, the same thing in Buddhism. That's how it works. The leaders validate the preachers, while the preachers elevate the leaders. That is just how they work. And then the masses are in the middle, being suppressed from both sides. Because, ask yourself this question, right? If there wasn't any politics in the church, how come when those religious people do all kinds of things, politicians hardly ever get involved? How come when the leaders in the church lies to their people, steals from their people, abuse the people, politicians hardly talk against them? Hardly talk against them. And the same thing, no matter how politicians are terrible, most religious people won't talk against them. They won't talk against them. There is so much politics in the church that if you even come to see it, your head will spin. The same thing as we are being lied by politicians about how they will do this, they'll do that for us. But when we vote them into office, we get nothing in return. It's the same thing men of God are doing to us. They tell us, we need to do this in order to get that. We don't have to criticize them because they are God-chosen people. Or if we criticize them, God will punish us. Everything they do is manipulate us. That's what they do. And I also think that religious leaders are even worse than politicians, because religious leaders, they have this additional level. They've put themselves as servants of the Lord, or as God-chosen people, or as sons of God whom we cannot criticize. So they've elevated themselves. They've used the Bible to shield themselves. And so whenever you go out there, want to talk about a religious person, all you hear is, do not touch my Lord, do not touch my Lord's anointed. If you talk about religious people, the Lord will punish you. Even religious people are even saying that if you don't want to get punished by the Lord, if you don't want to get cursed by the Lord, avoid criticizing men of God. That is what they themselves will say. And when you ask yourself, who are these men of God that we should not criticize? Then you realize that even the person telling you not to criticize men of God is also a man of God. So in other way, he is shielding himself from all critique from the public by telling us that they are men of God, and so we should not criticize them. You see, that is where the whole problem is. You meet men of God who know the truth, who know exactly what is going on, but because they are in one cabal with other men of God, they will not speak the truth. You will meet people in the church who know exactly that what the other are doing is wrong, but they will not speak out because they are brothers and sisters in the same group. Even if one is doing the wrong thing, the other will not speak out. You go to a church like, I think, Redeemed Christian Church of All Nations or whatever, headed by the man of God, Pastor Papa Enoch Adeboye. He is more than 80 years old and he won't surrender. He won't retire. And according to him, he has been put there by God, and only God can tell him to step down. He loves the privileges that comes with being the leader or the GO of the church, so much so that he will not want to give up that position. And he came on air to let all of us know that God has told him to continue his work. God has told him to keep on heading the church. And until God tells him otherwise, nothing will change. That when he was 60, he was planning to retire and enjoy life. But God told him that it wasn't time for him to retire, that he need to keep on going. And so he kept on going. And even now that he is like 80 plus, God is still telling him the same thing, that he is not done with him, and that Papa Enoch Adeboye needs to carry on with their work. You know, it's funny, right? It's funny when these people want to defend themselves, they bring God. It's funny. You know, it was also your man of God, Apostle Joseph Suleiman, who came out and said that God has spoken to him and God has advised him to be as humble as possible. And then God have told him that he needs to be as broken as anything. That's the only way he can be a child of God. It's so funny, right? When they want to defend themselves, they use the Bible. They use revelations. They tell us that God told them to do this or do that. Because after all, how can we prove it that God did not tell them what they said God told them? How can we prove it? There's no way we can do it. There is no way we can prove it. So it's either we accept it or we reject it. But they have said what they want to say. My brothers, my sister, the only thing I can say to you is this. When you are in any church, worship the Lord, read your Bible, know God for yourself. It's very important. It's not what a man of God tells you that is the most important thing here. It's you knowing God for yourself that is the most important thing here. Know God for yourself.